The following program is produced by the Tech Talk Radio Network.
And yes, another Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Justin Lemme. Welcome.
Hopefully, Shawn will be joining us a little later on in the show.
He's got some child issues going on right now.
Time for bed.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, it's good to see you. I know you've been pretty busy. I was surprised to learn that you are already getting ready to open up Waterworld again. I mean, they're going through that whole process, right?
Let's see. It's about 40 days until we open. So we've had a very warm winter.
Right.
We've not had hardly, I think we got maybe a quarter inch of snow the entire winter.
Really?
That's
weird.
It is very weird. Yes, it's very weird. We're under water restrictions right now. It is not going to affect Waterworld because we get our water from a different place. I think it's like a lake. So we filter all the water out and everything to make it so we're not under water restrictions at Waterworld. But with the warm weather, we thought, hey, this is great for the construction project, because like they can just keep working day after day after day. It's coming down to it. I gotta say, we got 40 days to open. It's coming along. I'm not quite fully convinced that it's going to be ready by opening day, but we'll see. I mean, they've made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks. So
that's good.
I'm
Do you get people who actually traveled to Denver. They've heard about Waterworld and they want to check it out. Is it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, mostly from like the surrounding states. So we get, people from Nebraska, Wyoming, Oklahoma, Utah, Montana, New Mexico, and maybe somewhat in Texas. I'm sure that we get people from other states too. I've never met those people, but I have met people from the states that I just mentioned.
Right.
They come up, and when I meet them, I'm usually a guest myself. I'm not there as an employee. I'm there as a guest, and I'm there to have fun with my family. And we'll just be standing in line for a slide, and I'm just like, "Hey, where are you guys from?" And they're like, "Oh, New Mexico." And like, "Oh, cool." And then the guy, it's happened time and time again, I swear. But I'll just start talking to somebody in line and they'll say, "Well, your voice is familiar."
There you
and
go.
I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm the dude that you're hearing right now." "What do you mean you're the voice I'm hearing?" I'm like, "I'm the guy that's saying all those ride announcements and stuff." And
right.
So they'll stop and they'll listen and they'll hear in the background, they'll hear, "Welcome to Storm. Keep your hands and feet inside a vehicle at all times. Water depth is 1.5 feet.
That's pretty
And
cool.
they'll turn around to me and I'll repeat it back to them. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're the guy."
Right.
It's so funny, because I'm just like, yeah, I'm also an employee. I'm just here as a guest today.
It surprises me because Arizona, where, we get pretty hot here. We had
you think?
Yeah, we had a water park, and
All the water evaporated.
Exactly. I don't know why it would close. When I lived in Palm Springs, we had one called Oasis Water Park, and that was really cool. But it wasn't like what you guys have at Waterworld. I mean, it was basically you climb, you take the steps up, and you come down the funnel, and you get in the water. They had a lazy river. You would go around the lazy river, and it was nice. But you guys, Waterworld has made it like enormous. Like you could do all kinds of stuff there, right?
It's like the Disneyland of water parks.
Right.
I mean, it's massive. I mean, we got 75 acres.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so cool.
So I mean, it's a massive water park. But now, let me understand this real quick. Are you telling me that in Tucson, after all these years, I mean, I haven't lived in Tucson for so many years.
Yeah.
But after all these years, Tucson and even Phoenix, they don't have a water park?
I think so. I think Phoenix does. It's that Wolf Lodge.
Great Wolf Lodge. That doesn't count. That's indoors.
Yeah, it's kind of an indoor thing. I think that's the only one. There might be another one somewhere, but I know the one in Tucson left, and it's kind of a shame that it did. But
wow,
that was pretty cool to have as a part. No pun intended.
Where was that one in Tucson?
It was right off Tangerine and the I-10. So it was out towards the northwest side.
This was after I left then, huh? Because at that point, Tangerine and I-10 was nothing.
It's still kind of, there's a couple of gas stations and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Growing. They've got a shopping center off Twin Peaks. But yeah, no, we could use a really good attraction like that. That
Yeah.
would be pretty awesome
Well,
to
I
have.
mean, you guys are so hot down there. I mean, I would feel like you should, but there may be logistical challenges to that because the fact that you are so hot.
Yeah, and then you don't want the kids to get sunburned. You know,
Well,
'cause
sunburn,
outdoors-
but also this water, just constant water evaporation. I mean, I'm not joking. Like your water's just going to evaporate faster than you can replenish it.
I get stuck on the slide going down because it ran out of water. Not a good image. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering the technicalities though of, putting together an opening like that. Is there a lot of stuff that technically has to happen, like on your end?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think it would.
Well, I mean, we got turnstiles. We've got 12, 12 turnstiles. We've also have 14 early entry wireless kiosks that allow people to they can come into the park, but then they can't actually enter the main part of the park unless they scan their badge at a wireless kiosk that allows them access to the rest of it. So yeah, we have to coordinate putting computers into each one of the turnstiles, and then we have to coordinate getting the Wi-Fi operational for all of the wireless kiosks, all of the food stalls, the vendors. We have to coordinate getting all of the digital signage, which we use a company called Bright Sign, which Bright Sign is actually also known as Roku. So Roku designed Bright Sign, and they spun off the companies to be Roku for TV and then Bright Sign for digital signage. So we use Bright Sign for digital signage, and then we use Screen Feed to feed those digital players like our content. So like for instance, we have a restaurant inside the park, not really a restaurant, but more like a, just a standard food stall.
Yeah.
But when they walk in there, they see all the menu on a TV screen.
Oh, cool.
And what this allows us to do, and if we wanted to, we're not doing it now, but if we wanted to, we could do dynamic pricing. So we could change based on the demand. So if there's a ton of people coming to this one place, we could up the price instantly for certain items. Which again, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, that's horrible that you do that." But that's the way things go.
It is well, if you think about Walmart is doing that now with their digital pricing.
Oh, everybody's doing it.
So everybody does it because let's face it, this Walmart over here is selling out on this item. It's selling out over here, and we've got it for this price. Then they may digitally raise the price. That can happen.
Or vice versa. They may lower the price when somebody's got more of it, and then raise the price when they've got less of it.
Right.
But what also allows us to do is if we sell out of an item, let's say we sell out of hot dogs or whatever, we can immediately go and just put a line through that hot dog, the item on the menu board, and say, what sold out.
Yeah.
So that way people don't come up and say, "Can I get a hot dog?" And then the person's gonna be like, because again, we're allowing these food stalls are run by, the high school age kids.
Right.
And a lot of these kids, they're not full-time staff. They don't have a lot of experience. They don't also understand how to keep up to date by the minute of what we have. So a lot of times somebody orders something that let's say the manager rolls through and says, "Hey guys, we're out of hot dogs." 5 minutes later, you've got 7, teenagers walking up to the manager going, "Do you have any more hot dogs?"
Yeah.
Like, okay, no. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. So it allows us to put a line through the menu item so that way customers don't try to order something that's already out. So we have to coordinate all of that. We have to coordinate the Wi-Fi. We have to coordinate the digital signage. We have to coordinate the turnstiles and the guest Wi-Fi for guest experiences. Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot to do. And we got 40 days before we open.
It's funny because we're talking about digital signage. I have seen a lot of restaurants that used to use the traditional wooden sign. There's one of them out here called Nico's that you'd go into and it'd be a wooden sign, and then they'd have the price up there and the whole bit. But now a lot of these restaurants are doing exactly that because they're going all digital signs. Because think about it, if you're a business and you could connect your laptop and you've got the information there and they've got a program. This guy at the Nico's who switched to digital signage would tell me, yeah, there's a program. They can go in there. They can adjust it. They can change if they decide they want to get rid of a menu item. All they have to do is put another one in. They could change the pricing. So if somebody suddenly says, gosh, I really loved your chorizo burritos. Can you bring those back? And they decide, okay, we'll bring them back. Well, they can add it to the menu without having to have a new menu board added up or something else added. It just looks so much better, that digital signs. The guy here at Green Valley Automotive was at a show recently, and he had signage up that, again, digital, because it's easier to change. A lot of businesses should really be looking into that.
Well, think about, let's say this was probably, gosh, it's probably going on 10 years now. But you remember that very first time that you walked into like a McDonald's or a Burger King, and all of a sudden their menus were all digital and they were on a TV screen?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of it being like a standard, menu board.
I'm old, so I can't stand going to that kiosk and ordering. I want to order.
No. I'm not talking about the kiosk. I'm talking about up above the counter, behind the people, right?
Right.
It used to be a static menu board.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's all TVs. What gets me is that they throw advertisements up. So like, you're like looking at, okay, I want a number 2, but what does the number 2 come with? Oh gosh, darn it. Now it's an advertisement that like takes over the whole screen. And then you got to stand there like an idiot for like 30 seconds until the advertisement gets over and be like, yeah, okay, I want the number 2 with bacon. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I wonder how many people listening to this are saying, bring back the good old days. But yet this digital era has changed a lot again for us. I mean, it's made it easier, I think.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Another part of this digital signage for us is that we can then put advertising on our screens to direct customers to other locations in the park. For instance, we have a barbecue joint in the park that a lot of people don't know about. So we can put a small little ad in the bottom corner of the screen showing like an animated plate of barbecue.
Yeah.
And so then they come up looking for a hot dog, and they see this advertisement for barbecue, which obviously is a higher price point, more profit. And they're like, barbecue. And then they walk over to the barbecue joint.
Right. Exactly. People, you think, okay, like me, I'm talking about being old and not wanting to go to the kiosk and I don't like to have to do that, but it can be more appealing for people as well. You look at the Sphere in Las Vegas, or Sphere.
Yeah, Sphere, yeah.
The Sphere in Las Vegas. I mean, that has become enormous. Number one, because they could do so much with, number one, attracting people from the outside, but also inside the venue, they can see something that they've never seen before in a live show.
I was actually just watching a YouTube video about the Sphere.
Right.
And it was talking about the design of the Sphere and the concept of it and everything about it. And what they were saying was everybody that goes there is just completely enamored with it. Like, just, it's the most amazing experience in their lifetime.
Yeah.
However, the Sphere is hemorrhaging money.
I can't see how that could be, though, when they charge so much for tickets.
The cost ballooned over 3 times the original amount of what it was designed to be. So I think it was like, I don't know, I'm throwing a number like 1 billion.
Right.
Ended up being 3 billion to build.
Oh.
And no matter what they do, all these concerts, all these shows, even though they charge a lot, they're still hemorrhaging money. They are so much in debt. And it's the guy that owns it is the guy that owns the New York Knicks,
right,
and the Rangers. And he's actually going to build, he thinks, I don't know what his thought process is, but he thinks that by building more of these spheres, he's going to get his money back. So there are already plans to build one in Dubai,
right,
Tokyo, Japan, and I can't remember the other place. There was a third one that they talked about building. Well, but anyway, there's supposed to be some more.
You mentioned Tokyo. Have you, and I know you're going to be going to Japan next month.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Tokyo Disney?
Oh, of course. Multiple times.
Now, I worked at the original Disneyland back in
California, Anaheim.
California. I'm wondering how different was it, the experience in Tokyo Disneyland, than the one in Anaheim?
So let's see. Let me just recap a little bit. I originally went to Disney for the very first time in my life at 10 years old. I went to Disney World in Florida.
Right.
I don't remember a lot about that, so I don't remember all the details. The next Disney property I went to was Tokyo Disney when I was in the Navy.
Oh, wow.
And then after I got out of the Navy, when I moved to San Diego, I went to Disneyland.
Right.
I have to say, Tokyo Disney by far is the best Disney.
Really? Wow.
The experience is so much. I mean, if you think about what Disney stands for and what Disney's trying to portray in their park, Tokyo Disney fits it to a T. Everything is so perfectly clean everywhere you go. The cast members are so polite. And then I go to Disneyland and there's cigarette butts, spit, dirty diapers.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the cast members couldn't give two things about you.
Right.
It just like, it doesn't fit the mold of what Disney is supposed to be. So like for me, Tokyo Disney is so much more perfect than Disneyland.
I remember going to Disneyland as a kid when we, first got here to the United States, and in the 60s. And I remember you could go to Disneyland for a day and it didn't cost you anything to get in. If you want to
Really?
go, yeah, you could get in.
Oh, they did it by per ride.
You got tickets. You had e-tickets and all this, and then you would go on the rides. And it was cool. It was fun. You would eat at the restaurants. And my parents still dropped some money, but I mean, it wasn't that bad. But I hear people telling me stories now, and I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of Disney and all of that. And now it just seems so inaccessible for the middle class person to be able to go and afford to get in. People tell me, oh no, it's cost you about $2,000, maybe $3,000 to take it to Disneyland, stay in a hotel and do all that stuff.
But I guess if you consider the cost of the hotel and stuff, yeah. I mean, when we went to Disneyland, me and Misa, this is, when we were living in San Diego, we stayed right outside of the park. And it was within walking distance. Right. And I think we paid maybe $200 for a night over at that hotel.
Yeah.
And then it was like about $100 each to get in.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, it wasn't. So I don't understand where people are talking about $2,000. I mean, if they're staying at like the Four Seasons and they're renting a Mercedes Maybach to take them to the park, yeah, okay, then fine. Yeah, $3,000. But dude, come on.
Yeah,
no, it's not that expensive.
They talk about it for the whole weekend. The food is very expensive. Parking, you have to pay.
Okay, are you talking about a family of like 16? Okay,
No,
because then yeah,
a family of 2 even.
No,
or a family of 4.
It's not that expensive.
Well, I hope not, but I hear stories about that, and it's been a while since I've been. That was one nice thing about working there. You could just go whenever you wanted, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, just dress up as Mickey Mouse and walk through the front gate.
I never tried that though. My ride was the submarine. That was, what I did. So, and I wasn't the voice of Disneyland. A buddy of mine later became the voice for a while, Mark Farrell, who I worked with in the nightclub business, and he was really good at it. And sometimes he would do the voice.
Are you talking about like the park announcements?
The park announcements, yeah.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that whole bit. Which seemed like,
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
The technology has changed a lot to help, make the experience better at Disneyland and, Knott's Berry Farm. And, there've been some that haven't survived, but it's good to know like Waterworld is surviving. People are coming out for a seasonal park. That is great. But you do stuff off season too, like golf. Do they do that, or are they open that as well?
Well, I mean, we have properties that operate year round, but the primary income stream for the Highland Hills Parks and Rec District is the summer.
Right.
You got Waterworld, who's the biggest, the golf course, the mini golf raceway, park. You got those. And then you got like the sports center, which is an indoor, like sports center gymnasium type of thing. You've also got, the rec programs like baseball, softball, and things like that. And then you got the fitness center. And then we got our ice center as well. And the ice center is more primarily geared towards winter, which I personally, I just don't understand that. Like Denver gets up to the 90s, 100 degrees during the summer. Who would not want to go into an indoor ice rink in the summer?
Right?
You would think that would be the biggest time of the year. Like, hey, let's go cool off in the ice center.
Yeah.
But no.
No, doesn't work that way.
No, it's hockey season,
And it's funny though, but a lot of these attractions like Waterworld, like Disneyland, like some of these other parks, they're finding that they need to go beyond what they have offered in the past, which some are doing. Theaters are doing the same thing. And I think Matt had mentioned, there is a theater that is in Denver that makes it an entire experience. You can go to see a movie. You could get good food. You could sit in lounge seats. You could play.
Oh, yeah, Alamo.
Yeah, Alamo Theater. We have one here. We have one here that has done really well.
It's called Roadhouse Cinemas, and they've now opened like a gaming center right next to the cinema for the entire experience.
And they're going to be opening one actually in Green Valley, Sahuarita, the former Desert Sky Cinemas. It nothing's happened yet, but apparently. So they bring the idea of you go to a movie, but afterwards you go play foosball, or you could shoot baskets, or you could play arcade games, or
that's
have
pretty cool.
Carnival type games, and make it a fun experience. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, is beyond just that idea of just going and sitting in a movie. We can do it at home now.
The thing about the Alamo Draft House, I think that's the one you're talking about, Alamo Draft House, and it is nationwide. It's not super big. There was a recent news story about the Alamo Draft House, and I experienced this firsthand before I even heard about this news story. So last weekend, I took my son to the new Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And we went to the same Alamo Draft House we've been to multiple times. And the way the Alamo Draft House works, it's like a regular movie theater, except you there's no concession stand. Like you walk in, you go sit in your seat, and then your seat has a menu.
Right.
And then you pull out the menu, there's a little bit of a light underneath. It's got powered reclining seats. You pull out the menu, you look at what you want. The server comes by and says, "What can I get you?" And you're like, "Okay, I'll take beer, nachos, popcorn, and M&Ms."
Right.
And they're like, "Okay." And then they leave, they come back, they deliver it right to your seat, and then you get to enjoy the movie. However, with the Super Mario Galaxy movie, we got to our seats. The server comes up and says, and I'm not joking in the way I say this. The server comes up and goes, "Welcome to Alamo Draft House. We've got a new system now. It's a QR code. You just scan the QR code, place your order, and we'll just deliver it to you.
Wow.
If you have any questions, let me know." And then he walks away. And I'm like, okay, so fine. But here's the funny thing about it is Alamo Draft House is extreme. It's almost like the Masters golf tournament.
Yeah.
No cell phones allowed
at all. So wait, so how are you supposed to scan a QR code?
Yeah. So that right off the bat, I'm like, wait, as soon as this dude says this to me, I look up at the screen and there's an advertisement on the screen that says, "Put your cell phones away." And then in small print below, it says, "Yes, we do realize how ironic this is with the new QR codes."
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm like, okay, this just doesn't fit with the whole vibe. So I scan the QR code, I go through and I'm like trying to order and people are yelling at me because they're like, "Hey, put your phone down." I'm like, "I'm trying to order some popcorn. Shut up." So then I finally order the popcorn and then it takes forever to get it. And I'm watching these servers, these runners, they're coming by to deliver things and they have a bowl of popcorn in one hand and their hand in the pocket in the other hand. You've got two hands. Grab two orders. Like the movie was halfway done before we even got our popcorn and M&Ms.
That's not good. No.
And so then I finally leave the theater and I get on the internet and I'm looking, and apparently this was all by design. These servers are boycotting the QR codes.
Oh.
So they're giving slow service on purpose because it leads to less tips, because they don't get tipped directly. It has to go through the QR system, and then it gets split amongst all of the servers in the theater, no matter how many places you run to or not.
Not good.
So you're not incentivized to deliver more food. You just have to be there. Period.
All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. Hopefully, Shawn will be joining us. I want to find out what you thought about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Justin Lemme. Find us on the web at TechtalkRadio.com. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
So I mentioned before the break, I went to go see the new Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Nice.
Shawn is also seen it, and Shawn is here.
Hello.
Hey, Shawn, how you doing? Hey.
How are you, Shawn?
Good. I fell asleep when the boys asleep. So just like a typical dad.
Remember, we record this on Arizona time, but Shawn is like 3 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty late for me, and the boys.
yeah.
It was a rough night with the boys, and it was fine.
Anyway,
right.
so we went to go see the Galaxy movie. I went into the movie with kind of like a low expectation, thinking, okay, this is a typical sequel. You know, they're just throwing money at stuff to try to make some more money out of an IP. I kind of enjoyed it. For me, and I'm going to ask Shawn the same opinion here. For me, it felt like they were just trying to throw as many new characters as they possibly could within the 2-hour mark and be like, look, this is all Nintendo. It felt like a giant advertisement for Nintendo instead of a movie about the Mario Brothers. It felt like, oh, here's Star Fox, here's so-and-so, here's so-and-so, like here's, I mean, it's just like, I'm like, and I had trouble keeping up with the characters. And even Eric sitting next to me was like, he turns over to me at the halfway point of the movie. He's like, he knocks me on the shoulder and he's like, who is Fox McCloud? The character Fox McCloud is played by the guy from Twisters, Glenn Powell. When he found out that this movie was going to include Fox McCloud, he actually contacted Nintendo directly and said, please, for all that is holy, let me play this character. This was my favorite character growing up.
Right.
And I have to play this character. And Nintendo was like, okay. So Glenn Powell plays Fox McCloud. So the movie is good. Don't get me wrong. But it is very, very weird because you're also torn between good and evil in the movie. And Shawn knows what I'm talking about. I don't want to do any spoilers, but it's just kind of a weird situation. Shawn, what is your take on it?
It was just a lot, right? A lot of people were saying a hose opened up on your face and you were just fed Nintendo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the Nintendo opened up the pipe and dumped every single IP from the Nintendo vault on your face.
I'm surprised they didn't throw Metroid in there, Samus, you know?
Wow.
Or Link or whatever.
So my gut feeling is that we have just entered
the Marvel phase of Nintendo?
The Nintendo multiverse.
Yeah, the Nintendo multiverse. Yeah, with like
there
Marvel
there are two theories that I have, and one of these theories comes from a coworker of mine who I saw the movie with. Is that we're either seeing some spin-off series, so we'll either see a Star Fox movie, rumors floating that there's going to be a Super Smash Brothers movie, and that's why we saw an introduction to so many different variations of Nintendo characters across the whole I mean, yes, it was Nintendo Galaxy, right? They're kind of playing into that. We're going around the Nintendo Galaxy.
Let's brainstorm. Right. What would a Super Smash Brothers movie look like? Now, for those of you who don't know what Smash Brothers is like, it'd be like Mortal Kombat. It's a fighting game.
That's exactly what I said.
It's a fighting game. Yeah, okay, there you go.
My coworker that brought up this theory, I was like, it just would be Nintendo's Mortal Kombat. Like, that's all it would be.
Yeah. It's like, it's a fighting game. So how would they turn that into a movie?
I don't know.
I mean, they even introduced Mr. Whatchamacallit, the
Mr. Game
the
and
black
Watch?
and white like stickman figure.
Mr. Game and Watch.
Yeah, Mr. Game and Watch. They had Rob. Yep. They had Mr. Game and Watch.
They introduced Pikmin's.
There was just so many characters in this movie. You're just like, wait, hold on. What? Oh, there goes that guy.
Did you like it, Shawn?
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Right,
I did too.
A couple of the other reviews that I read were that if you're a late 30s, mid 40s dad, and you're taking your kid there for the first time to see a movie, or your kid's at movie age, it's going to be a very large nostalgic bomb dropped on your face. The first movie was great. I thought the premise was good, and it was its own unique story.
It was great.
Its own unique storyline. It followed some of the game design, whatever. This one followed more of the traditional game design from the original games. I wish my brothers would have been there with me to see it, because Mauser was my favorite boss from Mario Bros. 2 of all time. So it was cool to see them.
Who played the Toad boss? I forget the guy. It was like
I can picture his face. He's from Hot Tub Time Machine and a
Yes.
couple other movies. And
yes,
Luis Guzman or whatever.
Yeah,
his
Luis
name is.
Guzman. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I like him.
Just a great overall character flavor. A ton of A-list celebrities in this movie, so they just made it. It just elevated the production value of the movie.
But they're just voices, right? Obviously, it's just
Just voices.
Yeah.
But overall,
Okay.
great movie. It was a great time for it to drop, and kind of a lame movie market at the moment. I enjoyed it.
It went up against Project Hail Mary. I want to go see that. That looks like a really good movie too,
Like
with
Ryan
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I feel like we had a little bit of a weird regression with sci-fi movies, and I feel like right now space is hot.
Well,
So,
yeah, you got Artemis 2 coming back to Earth and all that.
I feel like we're in another good push of unique, defining sci-fi genre again.
I
Right.
wouldn't count Mario Galaxy as a sci-fi though.
Sci-fi fantasy, which is
Yeah.
gets people interested in space and that kind of stuff.
A couple of things we wanted to move on to.
Is NAB in Las Vegas. Now, Shawn, you weren't able to go this year. Can you tell us what that's all about?
National Association of Broadcasters. So it's the largest broadcast trade show in the country. The only other one that's larger is IBC, which is International Broadcast something.
Right.
It's held in Vegas every year. I got to go for the first time last year, and I did a live hit with Andy during the show. We recorded a segment last year from the floor, which was really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But I had my flights booked, I had my hotels booked and everything. And then Notre Dame Day and the development team at the university came and said, here's our 2 days for our live telethon show that we do every year. It's our biggest show we do. And it's the Tuesday and Wednesday of NAB.
Oh man! All right. So, what do you think? What is the tracks for this year? Software, hardware,
Acquisition. There have been a handful of big acquisitions in the industry that have surprised a lot of people. And 2110 is the buzzword again this year. So 2110 is the IP standard for broadcast. So if you're in broadcast at all, or you're dealing with live video, IP and 2110 are the big ones. Blackmagic Design just dropped a brand new virtual audio console, which actually has a hardware surface too. They announced a 2110 switcher. They announced some other 2110 peripherals. Like, again, this is just a few vendors that have dropped a couple teasers in there. The big one that came across my desk today, my email today, was that Riedel, which is a broadcast company mostly that deals with comms, like in comms, bought Ari. Ari is one of the leading cinema camera manufacturers for filmmakers and
ARRI.
ARRI. They're a cinema company, and that was not on my 2026 bingo card that Riedel was going to buy them, because that's a huge acquisition. They're both German companies, so that makes sense. And having personally met Thomas Riedel and have a lot of Riedel equipment that we use on a daily basis, I'm interested to see where that fits in their portfolio and how that's going to change what they do. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's just I think they're growing to be into more of a powerhouse in the production industry as a whole, not just comms, but their fusion system, their MeteorNet system is really powerful, and they're getting into more of the 2110 side. So maybe now having an optics piece and a cinema piece in there could kind of just bring full circle back and kind of add a little bit more value to the production side of their business.
I like NAB, the big conference, because we see a lot of stuff that is designed exclusively for broadcasters, whether it be video, audio, radio. We see a lot of that technology. You talked about Blackmagic Design's audio editor. There's also a lot of hype going on right now about DaVinci Resolve 21.
Yep.
Which, I've talked to people who use Riverside to do editing, and they want to do some other things that maybe Riverside can't do. And I always tell them, take a look at DaVinci. If you don't want to, jump into the Adobe world, or Final Cut from Apple, if you want to play around, DaVinci can be a good way to do it. And they're doing things now with Resolve. Some people got upset at Adobe when Adobe went to their really just a paid platform.
Yes.
That's it. You pay for it.
Software as a service is probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to the industry.
Blackmagic Design is doing it differently, and then now have a new product that is going to take on Adobe Lightroom. So professional photographers that maybe shoot some video, do some audio, are now going to have a Lightroom feature built in, or type of Lightroom feature, I should say, into Resolve 21. It took a while to get used to, but I really do like DaVinci Resolve for just how easy it is to work, and the color correction that you can do on it is pretty amazing.
The color corrector is probably the most powerful one out there, and a lot of people actually will edit in Premiere or Final Cut, export to DaVinci to color grade, and then bring it back into to finish final touching. And if you're talking about getting cinema quality stuff, the other big one that came out was GoPro. Have you seen the news about GoPro?
No.
They are ending the Hero line.
What?
Oh, what?
Yep,
That's their flagship, right?
Well,
Yeah.
so about, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, they released some new footage from their new flagship camera. We didn't know what it was called yet, but it's a cinema look, and their camera quality, the cinema quality footage was just mind blowing. You looked at it, you're like, wow, this is from a GoPro. It's crazy. Yeah. So they finally revealed their new camera line. It's called the GoPro, the Mission 1 and the Mission 1 ILS. It's a new, they created a whole new sensor for this camera called the GP3. So GoPro has their own sensor in there now, and their 2026 lineup has 3 cameras: the Mission 1 Pro, the Mission 1, and the Mission ILS. So
Wow.
notably leaving out anything titled Hero.
The Hero's been around a long time.
It's been around since 2011 when they introduced the Motorsports Hero.
You're using the Hero 3, right?
I have the Hero 3 Plus. It's just a great sensor. I mean, it's just good. Right. It looks good. And I spoke at Ferris last week.
Yes.
I got asked to speak at their media festival, and I actually talked about how my first job out of college, I was tasked with finding an in-car camera system for something we were doing with Car and Driver at the time to mount cameras inside. And anything that you could find was either super expensive, proprietary, or very bulky. And we ended up finding this 4-camera lipstick camera muxer that muxed it down into 4 cameras into one 480i stream. And it was not great, but it worked for what we wanted. But in that research, I found this little website called GoPro, based out of Santa Monica, California. And I was like, what is this little camera you do for surfing? And it's got, it's a 480i AVI compressed. And I was like, oh, whatever, I'll buy one. And I'll post a link so you can post it. But I bought the first GoPro. Because they only offered it for sale on their website. They were just brand new. This was in early 2008 that I bought this. And I took it out and shot a ton of stuff, and then just went crazy. And I've bought a lot of GoPros since then. But
GoPro, they made it easy. You could to fix it to surfboards. I remember that when the first one came out.
His first one was actually a wrist, mounted to his wrist, and took pictures.
Yeah,
and then it took video, and then he designed it into the original GoPro.
Huh.
And then they announced the Hero in, I want to say, late 2009, early 2010. Mm-hmm. And then the Hero HD came out after that, because it was all just in 480i until the Hero HD came in, and then you could do 1080. They made a huge jump from standard depth to HD, but even the AVI, because it was AVI, right? It was so uncompressed, it looked fantastic off of a small sensor. So they kind of blew away the convenience market for accessibility of content. Wow. And that's where it blew up, right? Everybody was like, oh, I can put a camera on my helmet. Oh, I can mount a camera on my race car. Oh, I can mount a camera to a weather balloon and get all this crazy stuff. And then just the content drove itself.
I've actually shot weddings, Shawn, where I've taken GoPros and I've put them in trees, over because an outdoor wedding. And I just hit record and let them run. So when I'm editing, I actually have B-roll to go to of the wedding. And the quality of the footage was great. It didn't have a fisheye on it. I mean, it looked perfect. All right, we have to take a break. When we come back, we have a listener question we want to ask. And some big news from DJI as well, which is surprising. There's news coming out from them. We'll do that when we come back with Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme. Send us an X at Tech Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
So we're going to open up this segment with a listener question from Rick in Sahuarita.
Hello, Rick.
Rick says, you were talking not so long ago about storing old equipment. batteries bulging. Some good info.
Oh.
However, I have a laptop I use for home and noticed the trackpad was beginning to buckle, like something was growing. Should I replace the entire thing, or could it be an old battery expanding? 100% is the battery. Get that laptop out of anywhere you deem like you want to protect,
Important.
because that could split and then start a shower of sparks.
Yeah, you do not want to. We call those in the IT industry. We call those spicy pillows.
Spicy pillows?
Seriously.
There's a whole subreddit dedicated to it called Spicy Pillows. Go look it up. It's about people finding bloated batteries from broken cells that release the gas, and then I mean, batteries are just a bunch of chemicals in a spicy concoction that want to get out.
Right.
And if you pierce it, or it cracks, or it swells up like that, it's damaged. It's got to go.
You don't want to try and poke a hole to let
No,
the air out.
no.
Oh God,
It
no.
is- no, because it will.
Do you want to die?
It will
Yeah,
be
no.
it's not going to explode, but it will
No.
be a shower of sparks and fire and toxic gas, and it will burn you or potentially burn down your home. So
Right.
my suggestion
My
is,
point still stands.
if it's a battery that came out of an old cell phone or an old gaming system or something, and you can't get rid of it immediately, put it in a box of kitty litter, put it in a box of sand, something to get it away from anything flammable.
No, where can you, like, all right, so say Rick decides that he wants to keep the laptop. Is it worth keeping the laptop?
Yes.
If it's already damaged his trackpad, then the case itself has been compromised. No, it's not. I have an anecdote to this story because I also had a spicy pillow on a cell phone that I tried to get rid of. Now, here's the other problem. When you have these spicy pillows, you can't get rid of them.
No.
Like I had
Don't tuck it in the trash.
no, God, no. God, no. You
Yeah.
see those news stories about a trash truck starting on fire for no unknown reason?
It's
Because somebody threw a spicy pillow in there, right? You can't get rid of them. I took an RC car battery, and I'm talking about like a micro RC car. So the battery was probably 1 inch by 2 inch, and
Right.
it was maybe a 1/4 inch thick. I mean, it was a small battery, but it was becoming, as we said, a spicy pillow. And I took it to, let's see, first I took it to Batteries Plus because they do
Yeah.
free recycling on batteries. They
Right.
said, get it out of here. Like
Well,
literally,
really?
leave the store. Do not, nope, leave the store right now. They were like concerned it was a ticking time. Well, it technically is a ticking time bomb, but they
Right.
were like, no, we do not take that. Nope, get it out. Then I took it over to Best Buy because Best Buy said we do e-cycling of all batteries.
Right.
All was the key word. I took it into Best Buy. Best Buy's like, nope, get it out of here. And I said, I went to their website and I showed them, I said, you recycle all batteries. And it says not lithium ion that has been compromised, AKA spicy pillow.
Right.
You can't get rid of these things. I still have that tiny little spicy pillow in my garage, but I have it in an ammo case. Like I went to the Army Navy
surplus.
store surplus, and I
Yeah.
bought an actual steel ammo case, and I put my spicy pillows in that because
Right.
I don't know where to take them. I have thought multiple times, I'm just gonna throw this in the trash because it's such a small little battery. It's not gonna do much. I don't do it.
Yeah.
Our county has a hazardous waste material drop off. Paint,
Right.
damaged batteries. They will take them.
There's also a website, greenergadgets.org, that's put on by the Consumer Technology Association. They may also be able to give you some of those references. But I heard the same things. I heard Best Buy will take them. I've heard Batteries Plus will take them.
Nope.
But
Not a spicy pillow.
If they're swollen or showing signs of damage, not a chance.
wow, that's not good.
Because it's a
All right, well-
liability. Because they are going to not explode. They will release their inner workings in a fiery shower of sparks and gas.
Wow,
This sounds so
you
awful.
really sanitized that comment, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, I
You
did.
painted a
I had to
picture.
stop myself
Wow.
from cursing on the show.
All right, we got another one here. This one from Marty in Green Valley. He says, I was hoping you might be able to answer a question for me. Why are wireless printers so hard to set up? It's been a battle for Marty. I wonder if Marty was listening to the show last week and was trying to do this and it just wasn't working. They can be a real challenge.
No, just not wireless. Printers in general.
Printers can be a pain. I will tell you, Marty, one thing I found out. A lot of us, we get our routers, we set them up. We set them up for 5G because we like that. We want to be able to connect with 5G. You'll find that some technology that will not connect at 5G. We've seen that with some security cameras and some printers. Of course, I've seen a line of Epson printers that will only connect to the 2.4 spectrum. So if you're having a problem connecting, it just doesn't seem to be working, you've followed all the directions that sometimes you'll have to connect it via USB first, then do your wireless setting. Just make sure you have 2.4 enabled on your router so you're going to be able to connect.
And the harder part, too, is sometimes people forget that, not necessarily forget, but don't know that DHCP leases time out, right?
Yeah.
How often do you use your printer, right?
Well, okay, hold on. I know what you're saying, Shawn, and you're right to a certain extent. However, you have to understand how DHCP works. A DHCP lease will run out. However, when that lease does run out, the device that has that IP address will contact the DHCP server, which is more likely your home router, and it will say, hey, I was previously known as 10.1.1.7. Can I still have that? And your router will say, that's fine. Nobody else has it. You can have it. But on the off chance, and this does happen, that another device's DHCP lease runs out at the exact same millisecond that your printer does, and it says, hey, I was previously known as 10.1.1.1.7, whatever, and the router's going to be like, nope, you're going to be this now. Now the DHCP lease is going to be expired, and your printer is no longer known as that. But for all intents and purposes, usually when a DHCP lease runs out, the device that had it will continue to have it.
What advice would you give to? Is there anything we could say to Marty?
What exactly is the problem?
Did he have a problem setting it up, or is it set up and he's having a problem printing to it? Right? Because
just wondering why it's so hard.
With my printer, right? I can connect to it wirelessly if I want to. I can print from my phone. I've done that. But if I do notice that if I try to do something from it after a period of 2-3 weeks of not printing something, I have to go power cycle it. Otherwise, it doesn't respond to.
Because it's sad because you haven't played with it.
That's true. Technology has feelings. I'm an advocate of that. So it's
all right.
So
I go down. I give my printer a nice spa every other week. Probably not good because now for some reason it doesn't want to work at all. It might be because I gave it a bath. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not good too. Don't do that, Marty. We had a post last week talking about, and this was on we shared it on social media, asking what's better, fiber or cable, and it was from last week's question that we got. And Justin, you kind of covered some of that. Fox Mule wanted to let us know. He said, when it comes to cable, fiber, he says it is shared when it comes to fiber. Your neighbor's packets are actually on your fiber line and just ignored by your equipment. Residential fiber is similar to coax when it comes to how it's delivered. GPON fiber and DOCSIS cable are both shared to the node. Marketing makes it all better. That is all. It's a lot of different opinions on this. Or one guy named Fat Daddy, that was his name, said my 1 gig fiber is rarely over 700 meg down and almost always 900 meg up. Some are saying that it's not symmetric. Others are saying that it is.
What I found just from asking it if Metronet was not dedicated, from the house to the circuit is not. From the house to the circuit is just like cable. Then it goes back to a main node, right?
Nobody's going to have dedicated straight back to the ISP. Nobody is.
No. Unless you're a business and pay for it.
Yeah. So you're paying for residential. So you are going to be shared, but you get better speed. You get better speeds with fiber.
Yes.
You get better upload because again, with cable, you're going to get like 25 megabits up versus fiber. You're going to get, like I do, 900 up.
But the comment, your neighbor can see your packets and stuff. That's
ridiculous.
Your circuit goes to the node, it gets encrypted, and then it gets sent along the way, or however it's going to work, right?
No.
But my neighbors aren't snooping on my fiber. Yeah, they're not snooping.
I want to ask about this news. The Avata 360, DJI, has introduced their drone. Now, for the longest time, I've always thought we're probably not going to see DJI drones available in the U.S., but now they're saying it's not hype. You can actually buy it in the U.S. right now. The Avata 360 is the challenger to the Anti-Gravity A1, which I got a chance to look at. It's about like $700 versus $1,200 for the Anti-Gravity A1. So, Shawn, why is this available in the U.S., Shawn?
So they're calling this a grandfathered edge case because the FCC approval for the Avata 360 actually got approved before the deadline passed. It was approved in November of 2025, and the cutoff for the ban was late December of 2025. So the FCC filings were in place before the ban went into effect, meaning it's legally allowed in because it falls under the old rules. A new drone from them that wasn't filed before that deadline won't have these same rules and won't be available to be marketed and sold in the U.S. It can be legally imported and sold in the U.S. It's often sold via third parties, B&H, Amazon, etc.
Yeah.
But availability is inconsistent due to tariffs and other things, right? So it's like it can't officially launch it and support it in the U.S., but it can still sell it.
Well, they've been talking about it, and they're saying it's finally available. So if people want to, look up the website, find more, they're saying the quality is pretty amazing. If they're looking for a drone, then that might be, one they want to think about. Anti-Gravity, I like. That was also one of the last ones that was available before the cutoff, and that way they were able to sell it here in the U.S. as well.
Yeah, so the top 5 specs for this camera, right? And I wanted to look it up because I had it pulled up earlier. It's 8K 360, so it's got dual 8K sensors on it. So it can shoot 8K 60, 360. It's got dual 64 megapixel sensors, so two 1.1 inch sensors. So it'll shoot 120 megapixel 360 photos. The aperture opens all the way to f1.9, so much more light on a larger sensor. That's good. 23 flight time per battery, which is good for an FPV style drone.
That's minutes, not hours.
Yeah, and this is where I get sketchy on the transmission side. They say it'll do up to 20 kilometers, 12 miles of line of basically perfect condition line of sight range on the video transmission path. So the transmission side of it is 1080p, 60 frame. Uses the 04 Plus transmission system, which is on some of the other earlier Mavic models. It's fast, up to 40 miles an hour, and it can do the FPV style acrobatic tricks and things like that. So it's much more flexible and nimble. It's got its better omnidirectional sensing, 4K forward camera, or dual mode 360, 180 degree cameras. So.
All right, best place to get more info on it, would you say BSW or just go to DJI? They should
go to DJI, but B&H or Amazon are probably your best bets.
We got to take another break. Come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme. Find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
So we've talked a lot about on the show how to build your own computers and things that you install when you install to check things. Hardware monitor and CPU ZID are 2 softwares that I've recommended on the show before. Be careful where you're getting it right now.
Really?
Last week, early April, the Register, which is a security website, posted that users were identifying that the hardware monitor and CPU Z files were triggering malware and antivirus flags. So basically, they got hacked. Something happened, and somebody was injecting malware into the executables of the files from the known website that you get those from. So just be careful if you're getting hardware info, hardware monitor, or CPU Z. Just make sure you're getting an up-to-date version. I don't know if there's a version that you should be looking for, but it looks like 1.63. Hardware monitor 1.63 is not the version you want. Get something newer than that. Otherwise, you're risking getting a virus or malware installed when you do it.
Have you guys noticed lately that the uptick in attempts through email, through text? Because it just seems like the numbers are going up.
It's so much. It's just I'm kind of tuned it all out.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten jaded to it.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage, and it gets people they don't check their email now.
And even the big leaker for Rockstar wasn't as big as he said it was. Like, he was claiming that he had all this stuff from Rockstar, and Rockstar didn't pay him the ransom, and he released it. It was all just financial data. It was nothing important.
Crazy stuff. All right. That's it for this week's Tech Talk Radio. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. If you have a question for the show, like we read earlier, email us, techguys@techtalkradio.com. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme. Have yourselves a great week. And don't forget to find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Tech Talkers. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you.